Fam, what's up? Good morning. I appreciate you guys being here. Happy Monday. We made it to Monday, May 13th. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all of the moms that are on the channel, all the moms out there in the world that make the world go around. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate my mom. Appreciate all the moms for being here. Caitlin, what's up? We see you inside the comment box. Hope you're feeling better. Caitlin, under the weather right now. We hope that you are better, and happy Mother's Day to you as well. These are the transfers up on the board. This is going to be your transfer class, and these are the transfers that are coming in. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about as we kind of warm up the show is I wanted to ask, we're in May. It's, May 13th. And what's up, Mimi? We see you inside the comment box. Good morning to you. Fan Funder link is up top if you want to become a fan funder as low as $2.99 to support the channel. I want to ask you for your help today. So, Mary, good morning to you. If you're a mother, I hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day. So I want to ask you a question. I need your help today. Okay. I got Ty Hayes joining me here in a few. I want help with the topics today. Okay. So we're May 13th. I want to talk about what you want to talk about. Billy, what's going on? I appreciate you guys. Mary and Billy, if you want to become fan funders of this YouTube channel, there's a hyperlink up top as low as $2.99 per month to support the YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. May and June, those are tough months to get by on the YouTube front because, those are down months on the YouTube cycle. So all the help, I appreciate you guys. Mary, happy Mother's Day to you. So list the topics inside the comment box as I get the show warmed up. I will put the comments, or the topics together, and then we'll move forward that way. Okay, looking for 5 topics. So any type of topics that you want, Caitlin will try to figure that out. Billy, what's going on, man? I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And like I said, Got Mine, what's up, man? Got my shit together. What's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. If you want to become a fan funder as well, hyperlink up top, $2.99. So you guys list the topics, and then we'll talk about them. All right, need 5 topics today. All right. And get used to that because I think it's middle of May, so I want to talk about what you want to talk about. Got the coffee in. Huge storm is coming through, and it already started this morning. So I got my workout in, and today it was kettlebells, and it was completely soaked. But a good day to push yourself, right? It's always Monday, and coming off of yesterday, Sunday, that's the day of rest, clearly. So that's my only day that I allow myself to sleep in, which is still tough for me to do. But obviously, you need to sleep. Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News, he posted this tweet, and these are the list of the entire transfers. So when you look to the transfers that are coming in, this is your transfer class of the class of, I guess, 2024 under Coach Kalen DeBoer in the springtime. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you know how we do it. With 10 being you're really excited about this transfer group, 1, not so much. Let me know inside the comment box, what do you think about this transfer portal group? Is it a 10? Is it outstanding? Is it a 7? Do you need more time? Is it a 6.5? Is it underwhelming to you? I want to hear from you. And I'll kind of go one by one, and I'll ask you guys your take on, 10, 1 to 10 about each prospect. Max, what's up, man? Careful, content's from behind. You know what? Sometimes if you order coffee from McDonald's, they fill that thing up to like the absolute top, right? And it's hot. And like, I just drink my coffee black, so they load it up. Like this coffee that I have right here is hot. And then I also have, I do the protein shake in the morning as well. No more Red Bulls. I haven't had a Red Bull in like 2 weeks, right? You guys got on to me about the Red Bulls. So I think I'm Red Bull free in the month of May. Right, Max? Like way too full. But the thing is like the McDonald's that's by my house, they don't give you ketchup. It's like a whole thing. You have to ask for ketchup. Okay, topic alert. Billy, what's up, man? Beard Life, recognize Beard Life. Okay, so one of the topics, and again, I'm looking for 5 topics, okay? 5 topics today. So one of them is from Billy, and he's saying developing of chemistry with new additions with the secondary. I love it. All right, so chemistry within the secondary. Okay, that is going to be number one. All right, let's see if we can get these all punched in within the next 10 minutes. What's up, Chris? So I am looking for your guys' topics today for the show. So chemistry with the secondary from Billy. We appreciate that. And I'm also asking you, like Glenn, what is your take in terms of the transfers? Is this a 10 out of 10? Or is that the excitement level for the transfers that are coming in? Is it a 6.5? Do you need more time? So Jarvis wants to talk about offensive line depth. Okay, I like that. Okay, appreciate it. What's up, Jarvis? I see you inside the comment box, man. Chris is saying a 9 overall for the transfers that are coming in. I think, Glenn is saying a 7.5. I think I might be, maybe a 7. And I think I just need a little bit more time. Now, I kind of want to go, through each of the players before we move on to our topics. This is a good one. And the call line is also open. I'll put the number on the screen. Let's see. Jermaine, what's going on? Topic, breakout player, non-freshman. Like it. Breakout player, non-freshman. Love that one. Okay. We need 2 more. Baller Man is saying, hey, if you guys aren't fan funders, just hit the hyperlink as low as $2.99. You can become a fan funder of this YouTube channel. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Okay. And I will, let me put the call line up. The call line is highlighted at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-994. Okay, so we need 2 more topics. So far, our topics for today are chemistry with the secondary, with the new additions being added, the offensive line depth, which I think is a great one. You also picked up Gino Vandermark, right? Was that yesterday? The day before? I think that was on Saturday. Your breakout player that's not a freshman. Love that. So we need 2 more topics for the show. And if you could just take a minute and hit the like button on this video, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Try to get to 100 likes. Let's make that our goal. 100 likes. Okay. While you guys are working on that. Ooh, I like that. Expectations. I like that too. Expectations for the season. Okay, we need 1 more topic. Doug, what's up? Good morning to you. Doug, if you want to be a fan funder, there's a hyperlink above this pinned. And as low as $2.99, you can support the channel. It's $2.99 per month. Topic, I like this. What's up, Patriot Life? Good morning to you. Appreciate you. Edge rushers. Let's see. Where did that go? Edge rushers and DTs. Okay. Okay. And let's do, we'll put some more topics up there. What's up, Matthew? Appreciate you being here, man. Starting returners, special teams. Okay. Looking for topics. 7 is topic, turnover margin. Okay. Number 8 is team meshing, chemistry. All right. Starters. Let me see. Defensive expectations. All right. I'm going to save some of these for the week too. Brian Williams impact. Okay. I like all these. Thank you so much. All right. Just keep felting them out. Oh, and Patriot Life has given out 5 fan funder memberships. Appreciate it. Patriot Life has done a really great job helping us build the community here on Bama Football on YouTube. All right. These are good. All right. Appreciate it. These are good starting points. Okay. So real quick, before we do that, and before we get into our topics, let's look at the list right here of the transfers and kind of, I'll ask you how excited you are in each player. And we'll kind of run through this real quick. On a scale of 10, you're like ultra excited about this player coming in, and 1, not so much. Okay. So let's start at the top with Austin Mack. Give me a 10 if you're like ultra excited for him. And it's fine if you like put, 5 or 6, or if you just need more time. So Austin Mack, give me your take inside the comment box. Is it a 10? Chris is saying it's a 2. Patriot Life in there with the 50 spot. Woo! I appreciate that, Patriot Life. Patriot Life getting it going, man. Patriot, look at it. He's got the shirt that says Patriot Life. Someday Travel is also a Yeti guy. All right, so this is all for Austin Mack. And Mimi saying 10. Caitlin saying 6. Mike G saying 5. Billy saying 7. Wide receiver depth is another topic that has been added. Jermaine is saying 3, Corey is saying 5. So the thing about it, Ballerman, I think these are going to be a little bit lower. Like mine is going to be probably like, I don't know, maybe like a 5. And the reason for this isn't the quality of player that he is. And I think you guys are thinking the same. It's kind of just like the impact that he's going to have this season. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So I think with more development, I am excited overall. Matthew's really excited with the 10. But that's kind of my take on Austin Mack. So I think somewhere kind of in the middle. The thing about Austin Mack is I am really curious about him. Like my curiosity level is like 10 because I want to see how he can be utilized with his height, with his size, and how that can be impactful to Alabama's overall offense, right? The schematics under Coach Kalen DeBoer. Okay, how about this one? How excited are you about Parker Brailsford? Parker Brailsford, 10, you're like through the roof, or 1, not so much. I would imagine Parker's going to be really high on the list. Caitlin's like, he's so tall. I know, he's gigantic, right? All right. Chris is saying 10. A. Watt's saying 7. Billy's saying 5. Jermaine Mims is saying 9.5. These are going to be higher. Clearly, Mimi is saying on Austin Mack, just excited to see where he can be further with further development. Yeah, I get that. Corey's saying 6 only because he missed spring. We've talked about this countless times. What was so perplexing about Parker Brailsford is he came in and then we never saw him snap the football. So it was like that was one of the things that we just didn't see. And then I was thinking about this. The amount of centers to leave Alabama, it was interesting, right? Seth left, Terrence Ferguson left, who I still felt that could have pushed for it. And then James Brockermeyer has this breakout spring, and then he hits the transfer portal as well. So Parker Brailsford, and yeah, that is a good point, Corey, because he missed a spring. EJ is saying 8.8. Appreciate you being here, EJ. Like that chain, man. Good to see you. Glenn is saying 9. Ballerman is saying 9. A lot of excitement for Parker. Okay, let's keep it moving. Jeremy Bernard. Same thing. 10, the highest. I didn't know that Jeremy Bernard was going to be as talented as he is. I guess I undervalued him. That was my bad. He's the guy, right? Ballerman is saying 15. He's the guy. And I think that he could really be, the featured wide receiver this year. And that doesn't mean that these other wide receivers are not going to get fed. It's just like, man, that guy displays an ability to have an impact from the jump. And he did that on the first play, first series that Alabama had. Okay. Man, he's ultra talented. If he can kind of bring back some of that ride out mentality. And I think about it, like Bernard, Law, Kobe Prentice, Emmanuel Henderson. We're going to talk about the wide receiver depth later on, but you got some absolute ballers, and the freshmen aren't even here. Some of them, right? Rico Scott, Amari Jefferson, Ryan Williams. Those guys get in like this month. A-Watt saying 9, very explosive player. All right. How about this one? Keon Sabb. What do you think about Keon Sabb? 10 being the most excited, 1 being the least. I think for Keon Sabb, I'm probably gonna say 10 for Sabb. Sabb will come into that secondary, and we're going to talk about the chemistry within that secondary. But I think when you have an impact player coming in, Billy is saying 8 in terms of Keon Sabb. I think that Sabb is going to be one of the better players on defense. I think Deontay Lawson, I think Malachi Moore because of his better leadership. I think Tim Keenan is underrated. But I think Keon Sabb will have a dramatic impact on Alabama's defense. You needed a quality safety. You got one from Michigan, the team that just won the national championship, right? EJ Riggins is with me. He's saying 10. I'm going to say 10 on Keon Sabb. It's going to be higher. I'm impressed that they were able to figure out how to get him on board this spring to have him already be playing and contributing in spring practice, right? Could have been one of those situations where like Caden Proctor, he's not here. He can't start practicing with the team until like August. But Sabb being able to contribute in spring, man, that's going to really catapult him this season. All right, Josh Cuevas out of Washington, the tight end. Probably a little bit lower. And I think because Alabama's already set at the tight end position. So you kind of look at him more as a piece of depth. Now, I think that he's going to be, a balanced type tight end. But I think when you look to Alabama's roster, C.J. Dupree's coming in. Nobody talks about C.J. Dupree. I'm not sure why. Played in 540 snaps last year. And then this is the other tight end that nobody talks about as well is Danny Lewis. Danny Lewis is a monster. 6'5", 260. You saw him catch a touchdown in one of those scrimmages. And then you also have Robbie Oots. You also have Jay Lindsey, right? Jay Lindsey, I believe, is a summer enrollee. And then you have Josh Cuevas. I think there might be another tight end in there. But you see from like a depth standpoint, I think Josh Cuevas maybe, adds depth and, can push the guys during practice, but it's not like a vital piece that you absolutely need at a tight end. Okay, how about this one? Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor, you know who Caden Proctor is. Left tackle. Was a freshman last year. Was up and down last season. Had a lot of growth. But if you don't have Caden Proctor coming in, I don't know. You don't have the experience factor at the left tackle. And I think with Caden Proctor coming back and the maturity and with him being able to be worked, in terms of his game with Coach Kapilovic and all the offseason training, everybody, look, this is clearly, the comment box saying it. I mean, this is, I guess, the biggest transfer that Alabama got back. It is, when we look back at the transfer portal like 3 years from now, and I'm sure there'll be more rules and regulations. It's just amazing that he was able to go to Iowa and then come back, right? Jermaine is saying 10 plus he's a first-round draft pick, 100%. Yeah. Like, this is an NFL-type guy. Do you see his tat? Got some new ink. Got some new art. It says Link. Guy's clearly bought in. He's got it tatted on his arm. Okay. All right. That's the biggest one. Okay. Here's another one. And this is the one that I said as well. Graham Nicholson out of Miami of Ohio. Because I think when you look to Alabama's spring game, not that they were kicking a ton, but I think we all knew that was a weak spot for Alabama. And who would have thought they would have got the Lou Groza Award winner? There was no it just kind of happened. I'm going to say 10 on Graham Nicholson. Caitlin saying 9. Chris from New Jersey saying 9. Glenn Martin saying 10. A. Watts saying 9.5. Jermaine is saying Formby, welcome Formby, the best friend on the left. We are solid at tackle now. So, yeah, there's a good chance that Welcome Formby is a starting right tackle. I heard that Formby and Proctor living together. It's just kind of like, some of the talk around town. EJ Reggins is saying 10.9. 9, 10, 10. Okay, so, all the way across. So, you guys are happy about Caden Proctor and Graham Nicholson. It's crazy that Alabama got. So, as you can see, Coach Kalen DeBoer was cooking in the transfer portal. Got exactly all the guys that he needed. And they're of course going to miss out on some, but you can't tell me right now that there's any spots that are missing, right? You can't. I don't think we're right now looking at any sort of unit, whether that's quarterback all the way to punter, and you're like, oh, Alabama's missing this guy. Now it's about developing the players, developing that cohesiveness, the continuity to get these guys up and ready for August, right? All right, a couple more, and then we'll go to Coach Darrell, who's on the phone. Okay, how about this one? Cam Howard. Cam Howard, he transferred. He's a defensive back. And I've been asked to do this a couple times inside the comment box. I always read the comments about explaining what position the players play. So he's in the secondary. So you have Cam Howard, who transferred from Charlotte. Patriot Life, 5 more fan funded memberships. Appreciate it, Patriot Life. Man, it's 10 today and a 50 spot. Patriot Life starting out the week. Right. We appreciate you, Patriot Life. Thank you so much. 7-6. Our weakest is tight end, and that's saying a lot. Yeah, I think I guess, if you have to look at the weakest units on the team, that might be it, but I still have high hopes for Danny Lewis. And I think depending on how you utilize him, Robbie Oots could do his thing. And I think CJ Dupree has a better season than last year. So you're right, man. Like, that's saying a lot because the tight end room is pretty damn good. Billy Williams is a 9. He's a baller. Is a huge need for us. And that is Cam Howard. Love it. Okay. I don't think I'm going to have to minimize that banner. Okay. Couple more to go through, and then I'll take your call. Stay tight, Coach Darryl. All right, Deshaun Jones. Let's run through this. 1 to 10. We're on Deshaun Jones right now. And if you're just joining us, we're breaking down all the transfers. 10 being the highest, you're most excited. You think they'll have a big impact. 1, not so much. Or 1 would be like none. Yeah, Mike G just been gifted by Patriot Life. Yeah, and this is a need. Look, anyone in the secondary was going to bring value, especially if they played last season. So, like, this is the kind of thing, like, because I've seen this in the comment box as well. People go into the comment box and like, oh, he's a roll 3-star, this or that. Well, if the player has already played at the college level, is he still really a 3-star? Like, what is he coming? What is he coming in as? Like, where did that 3-star? Is he now like closer to a 4-star? That would be interesting. If on 3, here's an idea for you. On 3, rank the players after they've played a season, right? Like, have basically like senior through freshman, then have rankings. That would give you a whole nother ranking list, right? You could rank the top freshmen that have played. Right? Like, for example, Caden Proctor, he would be a 5-star freshman. Right? You could rank him like that, star rating. Because right now, like, they're like, oh, he was a 3-star in high. Well, think about the jump that you make from high school to college. Okay. Couple more, 2 more. Baller Man's like over 800 snaps. Damn, that's crazy. All right. King Mac. First of all, 100 out of 10 for the name. Everybody was saying Return of the Mac, right? Return of the Mac. King Mac. Yeah. Look, I think that King Mac, man, this guy, I think I might have been undervaluing him at the beginning too. Kyle, what's up, man? Just checking in on how to stay fired up about King Mac. I think the addition of him and Cam Howard are going to be huge for Alabama, and that's Kyle. Kyle recognizing Kyle. Did you know on May 18th, the largest get-together for Kyle in the country? Like, everyone who's named Kyle will be meeting in Kyle, Texas. They're going to try to, like, break the record with the amount of Kyles. Now, I appreciate the post. Okay, 10 plus, 8.5. A-Watt saying 10. Patriot Life is saying, no problem, Mike. Enjoy being a member of Bama Football on YouTube. All right, 1 more to go through, and then we'll go to Coach Darryl on the phone. Hey, we got 92 watching. If you guys could please take a minute and hit the thumbs up, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a lot of appreciation for you guys joining the show this morning, every single morning. Thank you so much. Okay. Gino Vandermark, and I think this will fit in well with one of our topics, kind of moving in about the offensive line depth. But Gino Vandermark is a player who plays interior offensive lineman. And I think when you look to Alabama's offensive line, you're set. We know who, I think we know who the starters are going to be, but the twos, who are the twos going to be? And the twos don't have a lot of experience. So you needed a player to come in that has experience, because you're always one play away. And the way that Alabama's football schedule is designed is it is an absolute gauntlet. No monster in Kyle, Texas is safe, I'm hearing, brother. Gino 7.5, 9, 8. Underrated pickup. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. Just wanted to kind of cruise through, some of those topics because, think they were certainly, worth hitting on in terms of since Alabama now has their transfers in place. Okay. So I'm going to put topic number 1 on the bottom. And we are going to take our first call, which is Coach Darryl calling in. 1 second. Coach Dell, what's up, man? Topic number one is the chemistry with the secondary. But before that, man, your biggest impact in terms of the second, not only the secondary, but overall with the transfers, Coach Dell. What do you think that Coach Kalen DeBoer has done? I mean, clearly he's been cooking. There's a lot of guys that will provide an instant impact. Your quick assessment of the overall transfers, Coach Darrell from Huntsville. Go ahead, man.
Well, I think. Thank you for having me on, Cal. I think the coach has done a tremendous job. I mean, when you can go in, get your weaknesses taken care of, supposed weaknesses, you can get a guy who may not start but can be add to your depth. I'm going to call him Count Vandermark from Transylvania. You can get a guy that can maybe if somebody goes down, like you said, we playing a gauntlet schedule this year, and anything we won't see anybody hurt, but it happens. So for him to be able to address this right here and get back Caden Proctor, that is beyond huge. I think if they were given out an award, the Portal Award, Alabama would win it hands down, unanimous. Well, let's just say we hope they would, because you know how when it comes to awards, how they'll cheat us. But I think there's no doubt that Alabama has solidified their secondary. They solidified their offensive line, and there's a position. Quavers from Washington, he's solid, the tight end. And but I was worried. Well, here you're saying we're kind of worried about. I'm not really worried about tight end, because I think Robert Oops can be used in the various ways. Yes. And I think he'll be a factor in the formations that they run, because they run a lot of tight end heavy formations, and where the tight end is a factor. And I also think if they had to, they could line up the freshman, the incoming freshman at tight end, even though they moved him to wide receiver now. They could line him up at tight end just for the heck of it and get a mismatch. So I think we're going to be solid at tight end. Because again, I think one of the main functions for the tight end in the formations that I saw them run last year is a blocker, a puller, to pin the edge. So I think he's done a tremendous job in the portal.
Coach, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. If we lose you, we'll catch you next time. But before I go, I wanted to ask you. Our topic number one is the chemistry within the secondary. Being that you only have one returning starter, which is Malachi Moore, how do you think that will play in? And think about this as well. You only have one returning starter, which is Malachi Moore, as I mentioned, but you also lost Coach Saban, was your corners coach, and you also lost T-Rob. So a lot of those guys have to gel. How do you think the secondary, the chemistry will be with guys coming in from USC, guys coming in from Michigan, a guy coming in from Wake Forest? I mean, a guy from the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC. Do you think that will be much of an issue for these guys to develop some sort of chemistry this year? What's your take on that?
I don't think so. Again, I think the coaching is going to be adequate, even though we lost Coach Saban as he always coached the secondary. But I think the chemistry will be there. I think the chemistry will evolve in the workouts, and as we go toward fall camp, I think the chemistry will be rock solid. I really do, because you've got a veteran there. You got a couple of veterans with a return of the Mac, as you called him, Matt King coming in. So he's a veteran. Deshaun Jones is a veteran. Keon Sabb is a veteran. So they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to gel and be a unit. Yeah. And I'm expecting them to be leaders. So, and I'm pretty sure that the coaches are expecting them to be leaders. So I'm not really worried. I see the secondary might have some snugs and some tugs at the beginning, but I think by the third or fourth game when Georgia comes to town, we'll be ready.
Yeah, I think so, and you'll certainly be challenged. And I was talking with the Georgia Bulldog fan and kind of asking him recently about who they have returning in the wide receiver room. They returned Carson Beck clearly, but they have some new names and they have some guys to replace as well. Coach, I got to move to my next call, but I appreciate you joining me this morning.
All right.
Please call again and have a great Monday, May 13th.
Always my pleasure, Kyle.
All right, see ya. Thanks, Coach. That's Coach Darrell out in Huntsville. We moved to Chris in New Jersey. Chris, good morning to you. I appreciate you being here. The topic for today, the first topic that was solidified by you guys right here in the Undefeated was the chemistry within the secondary. And think about it. You have guys coming in from USC, from Michigan, from Wake Forest, from Charlotte, from Penn State. There's a lot of guys, coming in. How do you think this chemistry will be within the secondary?
Hey, Kyle. Happy Monday. Well, you know what I want to say is you and I spoke on Friday about about Alabama's Cup runneth over, and we got to stay positive. And what happens for the rest of the day? Commit. So where we go? Stay positive, kids. So all right. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing is I love this topic. This is a great topic, especially for where we are right now. Before the season starts. First of all, Malachi Moore is going to be the most important defensive back on the team. He's not only a big brother to the guys on the team now, the guys that are coming, he's going to be like the uncle. Kyle, I played lacrosse in college, and when I was a freshman, I was 18 years old. There was a guy on our team. He was like a fifth-year senior, and he was 23 years old, Kyle. I remember 23. I thought he was like ancient. Mm-hmm. He was like an old man. We all looked up to him. He was a great guy. Mm-hmm. And he really helped the team out. He was like he's a great player. He's from Maryland, so Malachi Moore is the uncle, the older brother of that whole, and they're all working together. They're all hanging out together. I think that like I said, my concern for that group is a lot less than everybody else's. And and then all of a sudden, boom, you get three players. Why do people come to Alabama? People come to Alabama for one reason and one reason only, because they want to win, Kyle. Mm-hmm. They want to win a championship. They want to win an SEC. They want to win. They want to be in the big games. They want to be on Saturday night on TV. This is the premier program in the United States. You come here for one reason. Are people coming here for a bag? A little bit, but ultimately, I forget that great defensive lineman for the Redskins. Was it last name Allen? Or he was like, Alabama's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Alabama is hard. They had that fourth quarter program, mm-hmm. and they, it's the real deal. These guys are working out today, and so they come. You're coming here, and so that's where I'm going with this is. You come into this situation on day one. I think these guys come in to buy in right away. Mm-hmm. They come in. We're here to work. We want to contribute to a team. We want to do our job. We trust the process. We want to win. So when I think the chemistry, because of Malachi Moore being the older brother, uncle, is going to and this guy Sab, evidently he's coming and kind of like in that position as well. So now you have Malachi Moore and a guy that just came from a national championship team, Kyle. Booyah! Mm-hmm. And he's going to take all these guys. They're going to be a cohesive group. Everybody was worked up. The coaches, Coach Sean. Mm-hmm. Everybody's worked up because we didn't have enough backups. Mm-hmm. How many people don't have a starter, Kyle? I mean, so we're worried about backups. This is that's a good problem. So I'm very excited. I'm very cup runneth over. But let's face it. Who's the most important transfer in here? It's not even close, man. It's Caden Proctor. Mm-hmm. If your quarterback, everybody, they've made a little movie, The Blind Side. Everybody go watch that. And by the way, how come the left tackle in the NFL earns like it's not double, but it's a lot more money than the right tackle. Yeah. So why is that? I mean, so Caden Proctor, he should be on top of that list. Austin Mack, no offense, I gave him a 2, Kyle. I think you were disappointed in me. So listen, Kyle. I'm. It's Happy Monday. Where it's a beautiful day. And listen, two things. That building that house over the weekend. That was that was great, Kyle. Good for you. You inspire us. And one thing that I'm gonna, it's gonna be strange, but I didn't really realize how densely foliated Alabama is, man. Whatever that trail was walking down, it looked like Nicaragua, man. It looked like the jungle.
Yeah, that it always surprises me, because I went on I did like an active recovery workout yesterday. It's great. It is amazing how densely populated, like forested the state of Alabama is. I just, and I couldn't have come from a different place. Like New Mexico, if you have a tree, you're like doing really well, in your life. And over here, it's just like that's part of it. So, it was, it's always I'm going to show you guys now a photo that yesterday, this weekend. But I'll catch up with you, Chris. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you so much.
Kyle, have a great week, my friend. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you. So this past weekend, I've talked about this before. Great call, Chris. Thank you so much. The call line is at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-1994. I'm part of this men's group, Fitness, Faith, and Fellowship, F3. And it's really helped me as a person gain more maturity, be more accountable, make tough decisions. I mean, these are men that are doing such a great job within the community. So, this past Saturday, we worked with Habitat of Humanity. And so this framing right here wasn't up in the morning. And by the time I left, we closed it all in. And this lady right in the middle, it's going to be her house. She's throwing up the peace sign. It's going to be her house. And what was interesting about this is it's right next to Coach Saban's and Miss Terry's house that they just built as well. They've built 18 houses here in Tuscaloosa. The Lank house, which they recently built, it's literally right. It's kind of adjacent to this house that we built. So the painting and everything still has to go and be taken care of. But it was a really amazing experience. The day was beautiful. So really important to give back to your community. And I'm trying to get more involved in that type of stuff and feel that group has kind of led me towards that. So it was good. So there I am with the hard hat on. And so look, so when I was out there, it was so I'm out there and I do a lot of the social media for our group as well because that's kind of my experience. And then Gino Vandermark commits. So I'm sure some of you guys saw that. I was out there when Gino Vandermark committed. So anyways, Habitat for Humanity, good stuff, and appreciate your guys' feedback on that. Okay, let's move to topic number 2. And that's going to be the breakout player that is not a freshman. So I'll put it on the screen. Let me get this added for you guys. So topic number 2. This should be a good one. Call line is at the bottom of the screen if you want to call in. We got another call. It's a 832. We'll take it right now. Hey, I know who this is. What's going on, buddy? Good to hear from you.
Good morning, Kyle. Thank you for taking my call.
Free Mike.
I'm getting ready to head out. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. So you got a good connection. You must be in the barber shop or out on a walk. I'm not sure where you're at, man. But, time is tough, and we appreciate you being here. So Free Mike, welcome on in, man.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Well, first of all, it's funny that you mentioned the city of Kyle, Texas, because actually that's where I'm at. And they've been trying to get the most number of Kyles there in Kyle, Texas, I think for about 5 or 6 years now, and they've yet to break the record. The record is held by some city over in Croatia or something like that for the most number of people named after the city. But they've been trying to break that record for about 5 or 6 years now, so I sure hope they do it. So if you want to come on out to Kyle, Texas, you're absolutely welcome to come on out here. So that's that. Hey, man, I just want to check and let you know, I still listen to your show, still enjoying your show. It's kind of got the off season right now.
Yeah.
Things are kind of slowed down a little bit, but I think we did very well in the transport portal. So I'm very happy about the portal. So I think we did well there.
Yeah. Is there, and I asked the Undefeated earlier, about this, is there one particular guy on this board that kind of jumps off? And then I want to ask you about our topic number 2, which is a breakout player, which is a non-freshman. And by the way, Undefeated, inside the comment box, if you can list right now, your breakout player that is not a freshman. So list that right now inside the comment box. So Mike, out of all the transfers that have come in, is there like a guy or two that you're really excited, that Alabama added?
Well, I'm happy to get Caden Proctor back because I think that's a major area of need. But other than that, it'd be the wide receiver that came from Washington, Bernard, I think his name is.
Jeremy Bernard.
I think that's another area of need as well. So probably that wide receiver is the most, and from what I'm hearing, he's just an excellent kind of ball attack wide receiver. So that's probably the transfer I'm most excited about is that wide receiver from Washington.
Let me ask you this. In terms of a breakout player that will be a non-freshman, who do you think that could be when you kind of just, glance over the roster? I know you don't have the roster right in front of you, but when you think about the roster, and that's for everybody also in the undefeated, who do you think will be a breakout player that's not a freshman this season?
Well, I think it's going to be Jam Miller. Kyle, I've been saying Justice Haynes for Heisman for about 3 or 4 months now, but apparently I think it was Jam Miller that had the excellent spring game. The guy looked out of control, excellent. So I think Jam Miller, I'm pretty sure that's the guy, the number 2 guy behind Justice. I think he's going to be the breakout player because there's going to be all kinds of potential. And with that being said, Kyle, I think our offense, if the offensive line comes together, I think our offense has potential to be excellent. You get Jalen, especially if Jalen Milroe gets better, which I think he will. Yeah. You give Jalen Milroe's dual threat capability. He's definitely a dual threat guy, no doubt about that. And with our running backs, like I Justice Haynes for Heisman, and then Jam Miller's even better possibly. Yeah. And then the wide receiver, a little bit, they're coming together. But I think the wide receivers have potential in the X's and O's and such. Our offense has potential to be excellent. Defense, I'm a little worried about, because as a Bama fan, we just got spoiled. They're having like a killer, awesome defense, top players across the board, front and back. So I'm a little worried about them a little bit. But like I said, overall, the future's bright. No doubt about that.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the future is bright. And I know we're cruising on this honeymoon period with Coach Kalen DeBoer, but I think considering what he did in the transfer portal, how he's worked with the fans, how he's worked with his players, how he's built on those relationships, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys make a really strong run this season and continue the brand of Alabama football. But I appreciate you calling. Stay safe. Anytime you got a phone or burner, let us know what you need, some smokes or whatever behind the wall, and we'll try to get that to you, Mike.
All right. Sounds good, Kyle. Thank you, man. Good luck. God bless everybody out there in Bama land. Y'all stay strong and stay focused. Goodbye, Kyle. Talk to you later, man.
See you, man. That's Mike calling from the other side in Austin, Texas. Appreciate you calling in. All right. So let's get into this topic number 2, breakout player that is not a freshman. I can't remember who came up with that topic, but this is a damn good topic. And Mike, I think hit the nail on the head too with Jam Miller. We have given, and look, we all appreciate Jam Miller. All of us do. There's not one person in here, I don't think, that would be like, he's not, capable to be the guy. But I think we're kind of still selling it short. Like, he is the guy. I mean, what he was able to do in the beginning of the game of spring, I think was a small taste of what he's going to do this season. And that's not to discredit what Alabama has in the running back room as a whole, right? When I asked Nick Sheridan about the running back room, he's like, very good. And I think collectively, this might be the most dynamic and most potent running back room in the entire country. And I would venture to say that overall, this might be Alabama's strongest unit as a team. It might be the running backs. So I think that, it's Jam Miller deserves his flowers. He will get it. He will be an impact type running back. He's an all-purpose type running back. Remember, caught a touchdown against Georgia. And where we started to see him was that SEC championship game, right, when Jace couldn't go. So he's ultra talented, and I love everything about Jam Miller. And look, Justice Haynes, you see the footage? There was some footage recently released of his trainer. Him working with his trainer, it's amazing. Richard Young, my goodness, that guy was running over everybody in spring. Daniel Hill, beast, and Kevin Riley be joining the team soon. So the running back room ultra developed. And then you also kept on Robert Gillespie, who's your running back coach, right? So Brian Rajai, you got a 3-headed monster at running back, but I think the featured back certainly entering the season is Jam Miller / Justice Haynes, but Jam Miller is clearly capable to be that guy. Have another call, and this is 843. We'll take it right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, this is Tobias out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Tobias, man, what's up? It's good to hear from you. It's been a long time. I appreciate you, man. Welcome to the show, man, and take it away. Go ahead.
Not gonna lie, I did laugh when you broke that news. Why doing Habitat for Humanity? I'm like, Kyle doesn't take any minutes off, man.
Man, yeah. So I was out there, and I was like, oh man, like I was hoping that the signal would be strong enough to be able to talk about, Vandermark. It's a good pickup because, one of the topics that we also have, we probably hit on it tomorrow, is the offensive line depth. And we know what the offensive line is going to look like from the starters. But, man, the gauntlet of the season. You need reps. You need rotation. As high potent as this offense is going to be, I think Vandermark's a great addition. But, yeah, anyways, Tobias, good to have you in, man. What else is on your mind kind of when we haven't caught up in a minute, man. So, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thing is, right, I know a lot of people panic. A lot of people are panicking, but they got to realize Nick Saban is gone. He retired, and it was time for him to retire. At least he got a chance, if he retired and they get enjoy his family stuff, health, God willing, and everything. But people got to understand, I think Kay and the board did a good job under the circumstances. Because when the roster lost people, they couldn't get anybody based on the rules.
Yes.
And I think they did a good job with team building. Like, I don't expect King Mack to play much this year, but guess what he is? A guy for next year. And that they didn't just get a senior who wants to play. They got a young guy, but we can have him grow. He'll want to play next year.
Yeah.
Even with the swing, Vandermark. Most of the offensive linemen, they get hurt by getting rolled up on or a concussion, getting hit upside the head. You need people in there who could play. And I know it's tough sometimes, but it may not be the sexiest name. But who knows? He knows his role. He understands his role. And that's something right there when it comes to team building. And I think that these are good pickups. Even the cornerbacks, they needed bodies. Those are good pickups. And I just think people – I'm not saying anyone in your chat and everything, but I hear it. People are like, well, how come they didn't get anybody? This is like recruiting people in high school. They're going to take their time. And remember, Trey Amos and Jalen Key committed around the same time last year. And people was like Group of Five.
Yep.
And people and Alabama fans, we all got mad when Trey Amos left. It's just funny how a year changes things.
Yeah, yeah. And think about it. I mean, you bring up a really good point because when Terran Arnold had to pop out, or when Kool-Aid had to pop out, you were very comfortable and you were really pleased with Trey Amos. And I think, honestly, I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody inside the comment box, but I would venture to say that if it was between Trey Amos staying this year or Deshaun Jones, and I think Deshaun Jones is going to do fine, I think that people would prefer to have Trey Amos just based on what we saw from him last year. He was a very quality corner. And just because he came from a non-Power 5, like clearly the guy could play. He was just sitting behind a first-round draft pick and also from Kool-Aid, right? So I think you're right. I think when you look to what he was able to do, Coach Kalen DeBoer in the transfer portal, he got some guys that have experience, and they might not be starters this year, but he was definitely playing chess in terms of recruiting for next year and helping get those guys develop. But, an overwhelming amount of people feel that King Mack could see the field sooner than later. I have no idea, but I think it is open competition in August. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you left, if you hit the transfer portal from Alabama after spring, I didn't really agree with that because I think we are still a long way from determining who the starters are, specifically on the defensive side. What else you got, Tobias?
I'll say this real quick and I'll run. I think I know everybody's writing off the team, and I'm in a state where sports betting legal. Yeah, I think Alabama's going to hit the over 9.5, but I do think it all rides on Milroe. I'm not going to judge spring games because, that's just a spring,
Yeah.
But if he does take that step with process and getting the hot route and all that stuff, Alabama's going to be right there, thinking that not just making the playoff, advancing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he's a good player, and I just think that if they really play to his strengths and he improves, I know where this is at. I think the sky's the limit, man. I'm not saying the guy's a bad player, but I you know what I'm saying, Kyle.
Yeah.
Because everybody has room for improvement, and I think that if he gets that, sky's the limit for this team.
Yeah, and I think when you look to Jalen Milroe and the amount of talent that he has around him, and you mix that with the experience that he has, and then you mix the fact that Coach Kalen DeBoer has been able to transform quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe into, first round type guys. Who knows? And the thing about Jalen Milroe is I still think that his ceiling is very, very high. So I'm curious to see his overall development as we move through the season. And I think Alabama fans, no matter what side they feel about Jalen Milroe, I feel that they know he's capable of putting this team on his back. Yep. And I think that's why he has the leadership of the room. He is the leader of this team, like 100%. Like the guys follow Jalen Milroe. He has those leadership qualities. And I think with further development and and this is my opinion, I just feel that he was under. And I think, look, he does have some things that he needs to work on, just like all quarterbacks. But also, Bill O'Brien didn't do him. I don't think he did him right. And I think the stage was too big for Tommy Rees, which didn't allow him to further develop Jalen Milroe. So that's always a debate that we have. We talk about that a lot with Adam Lampello, one of our faithful watchers. But that's just kind of the take. But I appreciate you calling in, Tobias. It's really good to catch up with you, man. So anytime you want to pop on in, man, hit me up, and we'll do it right here on Bama Football on YouTube.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. And I'll say this real quick. Thanks for taking my call as always. I'm thinking they're going to run the Jalen Hurts Philadelphia Eagles offense. Just keep an eye on that. That's all I have. Hey, you guys have a good one.
All right, man. Take it easy. That's my boy Tobias calling out from Phoenix. Tobias has been calling in since he was I think he was calling in since he was like out in Fresno. He's been doing this for a long time. Because the call-in show, I've been doing this for 5 years now. The call-in show. Back when, man, you could look up some of those old call-in shows. It's crazy. We got Ty Hayes joining us in just a few minutes. We'll go over another topic and keep the call-in line open for just a little bit more. Topic number 3 is kind of something that Tobias was kind of running into, and I think it kind of bleeds over well. And it's kind of the expectations for this season. And I guess, we're sitting at right now Alabama to win over 9 games. What's up, Mr. B205? I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. And I think because we follow Alabama so much, I think it's kind of like second nature to think that Alabama wins over 10 games. The schedule is daunting. We've talked about that in many different ways. The back end of the schedule, I've already talked about it a million times. But the expectations for this season, let me ask you, what are the expectations for this team? And you could frame that any way that you want to say it. Good morning, Michael. Is it a national championship? Is it a Final Four run? Is it a playoff run? Is it winning the SEC championship? So I don't know. You could frame it a couple different ways in terms of what the expectations are. To me, I think the expectations for this team is that this team will continue to perform not only on the field at a very high level. I think they'll win over 10 games, but I think the further development of the players will also be kind of merged in with these expectations, because I've said this all the time. Alabama isn't a place that just puts a team inside the playoffs or makes a run at the national championship, but they also develop players to go to the NFL. And I think that is important for Coach Kalen DeBoer to continue to have under his belt in terms of expectations, because you want to come to Alabama to play for the highest level, but you also want to be a first-round draft pick, a second-round draft pick. And I think with the players that Alabama has and his coaching style, I mean, look how many guys that he just sent from Washington to the NFL. Do you imagine how many guys that he's going to send from Alabama to the NFL? So I think that you kind of merge that with the expectations of this season. And in terms of how many games they'll win, I think they'll win quite a lot. And I think a lot will depend. And I feel that the Georgia game works out perfectly in the schedule, because I think it gives them motivation if they were to lose. And I think it makes them kind of almost unstoppable if they're able to beat Georgia going on. That will provide some early season momentum either way for Alabama. So I really like where that game is. But Roll Tide Patty is saying 10-2. Jermaine is saying 10-2. And A-Watt's agreeing with me. He's saying agreeing about wanting to keep the players in the draft, the first-round draft picks. Yeah, I mean, that's always been such a huge selling point of Alabama. When I think about, well, I think not only about the success that they have on the field, but I think about the success that they have going into the NFL. And with that said, we bring in my boy, Ty Hayes. Ty, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here.
What's going on? What's going on? Thank you, as always, for having me.
You know, we've had a couple topics today. We had chemistry within the secondary. We had breakout players that will be a non-freshman. And we were just talking about expectations for this particular season. And I want to jump on board and ask you out the gates about actually topic number 2, which is breakout player that is not a freshman. And I'm curious to get your take on that. You know, because so many times it's just freshman, but you know, there's a lot of other players that all it takes is one season. So first of all, welcome into the show. And you know, who's kind of on your mind in terms of a breakout player that is not a freshman?
Before I do that, Brian, Patriot Life, A-Watt, Roll Tide, Chris, Sweet Home. Who else do we have? I saw Jermaine in here, Jonathan Eldon.
Yep.
Mr. B205, Michael Coleman, Caitlin Louie, Get Box. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us on this Monday. What a way to start off the week. Chris from New Jersey says Justice Haynes. Tough to argue with that one, man. But I'm going to start on the defensive side. I'm going to say Damani Jackson. I think people who are in this chat who have been watching for a while, they aren't going to be surprised by how excited I am about Damani Jackson. In fact, if you go back as far back as when he was in high school and I was making videos covering Damani Jackson, I was real high on him. I wanted Alabama to get him as much as I wanted Alabama to get any player in that class. And I don't know if y'all have gotten the opportunity to sit down and watch the interview he just did. Fantastic interview. Talked about what it was like whenever Nick Saban retired and how everybody was kind of up in the air. Are we leaving? Are we staying? What are we going to do? And Damani Jackson was like, no, I'm standing 10 toes. I'm here. I know what Alabama is. Like even pre-Saban, I know what this place is. This is the environment I need to be in. So to hear a guy that was a top 10 player nationally, really a top 5 player nationally in his respective recruiting class, a 2-sport phenom, a track guy, like with the ability he has to take up a leadership role instantly, having never played a game for Alabama, that took my excitement for him and brought it up to a whole nother level. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing when we talk about Damani Jackson, he was in the Alex Grinch speed defense. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and bust my gasket like I usually do whenever I bring up Alex Grinch in the speed defense. That usually sends me on a spiral. But at the end of the day, he is now in a defense that I think is going to be far more conducive to success. Mo Linguist was with the Dallas Cowboys coaching cornerbacks. He now has a cornerback coach that understands what he's doing. That's not a shot at USC. I actually did like USC's cornerback coach. I just thought their defense was out of sorts completely, so I don't even know how much I can blame the coach. Damani Jackson's in for a massive year. Book it.
Here with Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports. Definitely give him a follow. And Coach Sean, too. Coach Sean just started his YouTube channel. I know you've been providing some good mentorship for Coach. So we will, once we have Coach Sean and Coach Jarek on tonight at 7. So definitely follow Coach Sean as he gets things ramped up. Coach Sean does a great job for us right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And thank you, Patriot Life, for taking care of us today, man. He has 50 spot and countless fan funderships as well as Kyle. Kyle has a fan fundership as well. So we appreciate you joining us inside the comment box. I didn't get to this question earlier, but Ty's talking about, Damani Jackson. Switch to the offensive side real quick, but we'll stay with this topic. But I saved this for you, Ty. Kyle, do you think that we have an alpha wide receiver, ex Julio, Mark Cooper, a player that's going to catch at least 6 to 7 receptions per game? We've also talked a lot about Jeremy Bernard, and then just recently mentioned in terms of like a breakout player, a lot of people were just saying Kendrick Law, and that he never gets talked about and all the things that he brings to the table. In terms of, maybe a breakout player that's a wide receiver or maybe an alpha, could you kind of merge those in and who you kind of looking at from the wide receiver unit?
Yeah, I like a lot of the wide receivers. I think Jeremy Bernard is probably where I would begin the conversation. The reason why is simple. He's real talented. And I know there's this inclination to kind of look at Washington and say, okay, well, you weren't one of their three guys. Well, their three guys that were catching passes last year were insane, but he was in the rotation. He just wasn't healthy the whole season. If you ask any Washington fan who they thought was going to be wide receiver one this season, there wouldn't have been a hesitation. They would have said without question, Jeremy Bernard. They thought he was in for a huge year. So Alabama getting him, that's very important, not only because of his ability, Kyle, but right now, as we sit here and talk, there's only one person. I mean, maybe there's more, but for the sake of this conversation, there's only one person in the wide receiver room that completely and totally understands what Shepard wants and what DeBoer wants. It's because he played with them. This isn't a new year for him. It's more business as usual for Jeremy Bernard and Parker Brailsford and Josh Cuevas and Austin Mack than anybody else on this team. They're just continuing where they left off from last season. So Jeremy Bernard, I think, is the easy answer. I don't think people are misplaced for saying Law. Law has so much ability that I believe this staff is going to just find ways to get him the ball, whether that's almost using him as a running back, right? Like, I think you're going to see him be used all over the field, whether that's as a slot wide receiver, an outside guy. They're just going to find ways to get Jeremy Bernard the ball. But the guy with the highest upside, in my opinion, is Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams, as a sophomore and junior in high school, is displaying an understanding of how to attack defensive backs that you usually pick up as a college guy. Understanding when to get a guy to turn his head, right? Whenever he flips his hips, flips his shoulders, and then I'm going back inside. Ryan Williams just has this understanding, right? Like, he'll catch a hitch, and instead of spinning, shout out to Coach Hayes, instead of spinning inside, he's spinning outside. Like, he just understands intricacies about the game of football that are far beyond his years. And it's one thing, Kyle, to understand those intricacies. It's another thing to employ them. As a sophomore, as a junior, he's employing them, which means I love Coach Hayes on YouTube, right? Great channel. But he had a point that's always stuck with me whenever I watched his video on Ryan Williams. And he said, all these guys out here are playing football. He's a football player. And there's a difference. And that always stuck with me because I was like, he's right. I know exactly what he means when he says that.
And that kind of hits on what Coach Saban was recently talking about when breaking down like specific athletes in action. So let's say a player is a 5-star. Well, there's also just kind of this innate ability that the player has. You could teach him how to tackle. You could teach him where to catch. You could teach him to look where, the down and distance is. You can teach him how to read a cover 2, whatever it is. But then when you're in an actual game situation, there's this ability that the players just have they just have it. Some people just have it. And Ryan Williams is one of those guys. Coach Saban is one of those guys. You put Coach Saban in a particular situation, he's going to be the best guy at that job. So, Sandra, what's up? We see you inside the comment box. Do you think Ryan Williams will start? I think that's what Sandra meant.
Yeah, I think for the first few games, more than likely, no.
Could I hit on that real quick? I think so. When you look to starters, sometimes we just think like the first 11 that go out are starters. But based on the packages and the personnel, these offenses are so complex that they might run 4 different sets with, 11 different type players. So, for example, like Ryan Williams might not be in the first 11, but he might be in another package that Alabama hasn't ran yet where he's a starter. So the personnel sets, which would make him a starter. So I think sometimes we kind of link up starters with like high school football. Is he the first 11 on the field? But at this level and in pro, you also have so many different packages. That's why it's like, are there really 11? That's why Coach Saban was always talking about the depth chart. He's like, yeah, this is the quarterback going out, and that the quarterback is going to be the quarterback. But think about it, like the running back, it could be a different running back. It could be Jam, it could be Just, it could be Richard Young. It could, who knows? Maybe it's Daniel Hill when you get, 1 yard out or something like that. So that's kind of how I look at the starters. But back to you, Ty.
Yeah, no, you took exactly what I was going to say, right? I think that starting if you're talking about on game one, they put out a 3 wide receiver set, maybe a bunch formation. Do I think Ryan Williams will be in that bunch formation? I think more than likely you're looking at Jeremy Bernard, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. That would be the 3 that I think is the guys that are going to be rolling out. But like Kyle said, DeBoer is a guy that's going to have multiple formations, multiple sets. You will see a Caleb Odom, right? Especially when you get into the red zone. You can't teach 6'5". You can teach a lot of things. You can't teach 6'5" and his vertical and his leaping ability. That's just good luck to anybody who has to cover him. You're going to fail. And then you have Ryan Williams, who I think Nick Saban always said, create value for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Williams is one of those guys that you put him out there, you give him an opportunity, he's going to burn a defensive back, and he's going to create value. Kyle, I think there's this notion, right, from Alabama fans and even people on the outside, oh, well, you lost your Blazer at wide receiver. You lost your Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond ran a 10.49 in high school. He can streak. Ryan Williams ran a 10.49 as a sophomore in high school. And he's, I think, a bit taller. I think he's got a bit more complete of a route tree. You may have lost a Blazer. You gained a Blazer. And Jeremy Bernard can straight up fly too. Kendrick Law can fly. So I'm excited. I think starting, like you said, is kind of a relative thing, but he will certainly see opportunities.
Appreciate it. He is Ty Hayes. I am Kyle Henderson, both of Bama Football on YouTube. Ty, I'm going to let you get to your segment right here on Bama Football on YouTube, man. The show is warmed up for you. You got everybody in the Undefeated behind you. Please support Ty Hayes like you guys would support me. And, we got Coach Sean, who just got his new channel. And then you also have Coach Jarek of Jant Sports. So definitely, support those guys when they are on. But Ty, I'm going to turn the keys over to you, man. Do your thing. And please support Ty right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Appreciate it, Ty.
Appreciate you having me. As always, Kyle. Love to come on here on these morning segments. Darius says Ryan Williams will be in the portal next year after he doesn't start this year. No, I don't think so, Darius. There are certain guys that just understand what they need to do, and he understands that there are multiple veteran wide receivers in this room, and he also knows that he will have a role. Bama says Bond was overrated. I don't know a Bama fan who feels like we lost anything with him. I wouldn't say he was overrated, Bama. I wouldn't say he was overrated. Bond's very talented. Like, listen, I'm a Bama fan. I bleed crimson, but I'm also obsessed with college football. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight, right? So I wouldn't say he was overrated, but do I feel like the in between the wide receivers they gained that they completely mitigated the loss? 100%. 100%. I actually said just the swap of Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Bond, because I like Jeremy Bernard's upside that much, right? Like I've broke down quite a bit of Washington film, and I like his upside that much. Whenever you look at this, I think that he is absolutely Auburn targeted attack. Darius says Caleb Downs was starting and still transferred. Well, Darius, now you're forgetting all nuance. Caleb Downs just transferred because Nick Saban left. Nick Saban's already gone. So that's a terrible analogy, my friend. Yeah, that's not the one I would utilize. But what do I know? But no, Isaiah Bond is very good, Bama. Isaiah Bond is very good. If Quinn is able to consistently hit deep shots, he's going to be in for a massive year. But I feel like Bama mitigated that loss whenever they came in and got Jeremy Bernard, and then adding Ryan Williams on top of that in terms of two guys who can absolutely just burn. I think that they more than mitigated the loss of Isaiah Bonds. I think that Isaiah Bonds is going to go be very successful. Wish him all the best. But I think Alabama is in a position where they got a few guys. Not to listen, we keep talking about Ryan Williams, and deservedly so. Don't forget about Amari Jefferson. Don't forget about Rico Scott, right? Like, you have a bunch of guys in this recruiting class who are different, are just straight up different. It's my favorite Alabama receiving class since the receiving class. Now, I'm not saying that's who they will be, but this is my favorite wide receiver haul for Alabama sends the wide receiver haul. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the wide receiver haul, the wide receiver haul that included Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs. This is my favorite receiving class since then. And Jeffrey, you're right. Not to mention Bubba Hampton. Bubba Hampton is a guy that is dangerous when he gets the ball in his hands. So you look at this receiving class. You had Ryan Williams, you had Bubba Hampton, you had Amari Jefferson, you had Rico Scott, plus Caleb Odom, who's a 5-star, who switched from tight end to wide receiver. This is as good as a wide receiver class as Alabama has had in years. And now they have a wide receiver coach who, listen, Coach Wiggins did his thing in recruiting, no doubt about it. Coach Shepard is, in my opinion, one of the 5 best wide receiver coaches in the nation. Coach Shepard is one of the 5 best wide receiver coaches in the nation. There's a reason why Nick Saban was wanting him. Nick Saban was already peering into this Washington staff last year. Nick Saban was already trying to lift guys off of this Washington staff last year. Why? For good reason. Because these guys can flat out coach. Now, I do want to issue a little bit of a correction. If you were in here on Friday, I did make a little bit of a mistake in my analysis. As soon as I got off, I started sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, that's not true. I said something, and instantly the light bulb went off in my head. Why am I so high on this Washington coaching staff? Well, it goes back to something we talked about on Friday, and that's that there have only been a handful of teams in college football since the inception of the college football playoffs make the college football playoffs without satisfying the blue chip ratio. Now, what's the blue chip ratio, you may be asking? 50% or more of your roster should be compiled of 4 or 5 stars. And if you satisfy that blue chip ratio, statistically speaking, you have a chance to make the college football playoff. If I'm not mistaken, there has only been 4 or 5 exceptions to the blue chip ratio since 2013. Now, if we do the math, that's 40 playoff teams and only 4 to 5 exceptions of the blue chip ratio. What does that mean? It means that ratio matters. There is no doubting it. Right? Like that ratio matters. It has been something that has proved to be true time and time again. There's a reason why everyone wants a number 1 recruiting class. There's a reason why, as Alabama fans, we're sitting here saying top 10 is a must. Because the blue chip ratio. Where I was off in my analysis, ladies and gentlemen, where I do want to issue a correction, and I apologize, is that Washington is the second team that has won a playoff game without satisfying the blue chip ratio. The first team that did it was TCU. Now, they ended up getting shellacked in the national championship. I mean, it was something to behold. And because of that, that year always just goes away from my memory. But I do want to be 100% honest and 100% clear here. There have been 2 teams since the beginning of the college football playoffs not only make the playoffs, but then win a college football playoff game while not satisfying the blue chip ratio. TCU and Washington. TCU and Washington. There's a reason why Nick Saban wanted so many people off of this Washington staff, because they can flat out coach. And TCU, that team was a bit more akin to the Michigan team that just won it this year, where they were super experienced. I mean, super experienced. Top to bottom, you had guys in that. So you had a program in Washington that, Jermaine, you beat me to it, my man. You beat me to it. They were out scheming teams. Now, I could be off in this, but ladies and gentlemen, name me a game last year where Bama out-schemed their opponent. That's not to say that there weren't games where Reese would run something and it's like, oh, that's a nice drive. That's not to say that he didn't have games where you exited and you were like, okay, yeah, we're because I even had games last year where we exited and it was like, okay, Reese is starting to come together. But I don't know. Roll Tide says Kentucky. That might be fair. I don't know if I can truly say that Bama just out-schemed teams last year, or they just called their offense and allowed things to kind of go from there. Georgia, we out-schemed Georgia. Darius says Milrose not. That's 1,000% false, Darius. That's 1,000% false. Listen, I've never said it, but I don't want to take your football card. But a statement like that is liable to get your football card taken, because even just basic football analysis would tell you that's not true. So don't, Darius, don't make me come for that football card, man, because that's 1,000% not true. Talk about the all-in. We'll definitely dive into that. So Roll Tide says Kentucky. Samuel says Georgia. We out-schemed Georgia. I think that we might have out-schemed a team or two. Off the top of my head, I don't know of a team we just out-schemed. Kentucky was interesting because Kentucky, we knew that we had to stop what they were doing well on offense, which was running the football. Devin Leary was not the Devin Leary that so many people, including myself, thought he would be for Kentucky. Yeah, Darius, that was last year's offense. The offense changed. Right? Like, that's, once again, I'll be coming for that football card. I'll be coming for that football card. If you think that's all you can do, my man, then I think you might have just started watching college. Well, listen, if you've been watching college football less than 3 or 4 years, I can easily understand where you would come away with that. And there's nothing wrong if you're a brand new fan. That's completely reasonable. But if you've been a long time football fan, if you've been someone who likes to just really dive in, you'll know that's not true. And the only reason, Sam, where I'm like, did we out-scheme Georgia? Bama and Georgia are so similar. You kind of go into that game, and our run blocking last year was really good. Our run blocking was really good. They really utilized Milrose's legs in that game. Yeah, they had to, man. They had to. But the Georgia game is so interesting to me, Sam, because that's a game where had Bama really showed up, they would have ran Georgia out the building. Why do I say that? Bama dropped 4 interceptions. Now, that's not necessarily a scheme question. That's just me venting, right? Bama left so much meat on the bone versus Georgia. They should have cut the head off the snake, theoretically speaking. They dropped 4 interceptions. One of those interceptions that were dropped, they got 7. Another one, they got 3. So you're already talking, if I just give us 2 of those interceptions, you're talking 10 points off the board. And who knows, maybe Bama gets 3 points. Maybe Bama gets 7 points off of one of those. Right? We'll see. But I think that Georgia and Kentucky, right? Like, I don't think that y'all are misplaced in saying that. But when I think out-schemed, I think completely where the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator is in their bag all game long. And it's like, no, it doesn't matter if we have the most athletic guy on the field in Jalen Milroe at quarterback. Our schematics are making you have incorrect assumptions, and we're taking advantage of them. We will have that this year. And Sandra asked about the offensive line. You know, whenever we look at the offensive line, Sandra, I think the really intriguing part is Coach Jay, Coach Sean, and myself. We've been going back and watching all 22. I have a vault of all 22 film going as far back as 2018 for almost every. My goal is to get every team in there. I have just about every team in college football going back to all 22. And my goal is to get every single one of their games, offense and defense, all 22. I have a lot of it. The vault isn't complete, but I have a healthy amount. Well, we've been going back and rewatching some of these Washington games from an all 22 perspective. And why that's so important, right, is it's one thing to watch the game, but when you get to see it from the all 22, you get to see things that you just don't pick up on watching the regular broadcast. There's a reason why the coaches, the scouts, they all use the all 22. They're not looking at the regular broadcast. If they can get their hands on the all 22, that's what they're checking out. And one thing we've all come away from, Coach Jay, Coach Sean, and myself, in fact, Thursday evening, we were all hopping on a live stream. We were all going to meet up Thursday evening and discuss Washington versus Oregon from an all 22 perspective. We didn't communicate, hey, what did y'all take away from that game? The night before, we just all kind of coordinated, assigned some homework, if you will, and said, okay, Washington versus Oregon. Let's talk about it tomorrow evening. Can't wait to see you gentlemen there. Well, we hop on Thursday, and all three of us had the exact same takeaway from the game. Now, you might be sitting there and expecting, oh, well, your takeaway was how good these wide receivers were, how they were just absolutely scheming people up there. You're not wrong. You might also be saying, oh, well, their run game, real good. You're not wrong. What we all took away from that first all-22 film study was that the offensive line scheme that Washington was employing may as well have been German while we were speaking English. It was totally different. It was absolutely totally different. What Washington was accomplishing, what Washington was trying to do, what Washington was able to do. Forget trying to do. What Washington was able to do was spectacular. And I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen 10 offensive lines really do what Washington was able to do. Okay? Let me explain. Coach Sean does a great job of explaining this. In fact, Coach Sean's first video he put out on his channel, Coach SPH on YouTube. Be sure to go over there, subscribe after you get done over here. You guys know I hold Coach Sean in such high regard. But what Washington was able to do was move the line of scrimmage at will. They played Texas, for instance, right? They played Texas, for instance. And Texas last year probably had the second best or best, depending on if you're a Texas fan or not, interior defensive line duo. Now, personally, as much as I loved the two from Texas, I would give the nod to the Michigan duo. I thought they were spectacular. But Texas, if you're not giving it to Michigan, you would have given it to Texas. If you're not giving it to Texas, you would have given it to Michigan. Okay? The interior defensive line duos that both Texas and UM had last year, spectacular. Spectacular. Well, we go back and watch this Texas game, and what we're seeing is that Washington is pulling linemen, doing pin and pulls from everywhere. They're pulling a center. I can't tell you how many times I've ever seen a team confidently pull a center. And I don't mean just on run plays either. I have seen countless plays from Washington, from DeBoer, where they are throwing a quick screen. The center, Parker Brailsford, would engage, release, and then he'd be on a full sprint out to where they threw that screen. In fact, against Oregon, one of the Oregon defensive backs, and I don't remember which number he was, they were lucky that they slipped, because if not, Parker Brailsford was going to take their head off. You don't see that from the Alabama offense that we've become so accustomed to. That's more straight up blocking. Now, I have often complained about the offensive line play for Alabama. I've given you the stats, not only from last year, I've given you the stats, compiled them over the previous 3 years, and where that ranks Alabama, if we look at a more broad spectrum, over the course of the past 3 years, Alabama has ranked as the 99th best offensive line in the nation in terms of sacks allowed. If you're asking me what needs to be improved the most, well, that answer is simple. It's offensive line. But understand something. Whenever I say that, there are nuances, there are caveats to this discussion. Alabama's run blocking last year was real good. Real good. And now when we look at how they are going to employ this offensive line, when we look at what these offensive line members are going to be able to do, from Caden Proctor to Booker to Parker Brailsford to Jaden Roberts to whoever takes the right tackle position, whether that's Formby, whether that's Pritchett, whoever that may be that takes the right tackle position. And one thing I do think is interesting, ladies and gentlemen, if you do go back and watch Washington film, you see Parker Brailsford not only playing center, he can play either guard position as well at a very high level. In fact, Washington had a game last year where one of their guards got banged up, pretty banged up. He couldn't come back in. What did they do? They said, okay, well, we have another center that we think we can put in here, and he can continue on. He can continue doing his thing. We don't feel like we have another guard that we just feel like can take over the game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bounce Parker out to guard. We're going to put in the different center. I haven't seen stuff like that in a while, man, where a guy is confidently going from center to guard. It's just like, where do you need me, coach? We talk about min-maxing a room all the time. That's min-maxing. That, my friends, is min-maxing. David Mills says it was stale, bland, and predictable and had lost all of the Lane Sark influence that made it go when Coach Saban first committed to it. 1,000%. 1,000%, David. It didn't have that same flair. It didn't have that same ability to make a defense think. See, over the past few years with Alabama, it seemed like defenses weren't thinking. Defenses were reacting. And if you're a defense, you want to be reacting correctly. But Sark made you think. Lane made you think. Mike Locksley made you think. They made you think what was coming. And the reason I think that's so key is by the time you got done thinking and you got to react, you were done. It was too late. By the time you got done thinking and by the time you got to react, it was done. It's going to be a lot of fun watching. I know it's going to be awesome. And I'm telling you right now, man, I think Alabama's rushing attack, I think we're sleeping on it. And I know that's a crazy statement. We talk about the ability in that running back room all the time. But whenever we talk about the DeBoer offense, there's this emphasis. I'm guilty of it, right? Listen, I'll always hold myself accountable. We talk so much about the passing game and how the passing game is going to be improved. And I absolutely believe it will be. I absolutely believe it will be. Coach Shepard coaching wide receivers, Coach DeBoer. But with this new offense, the running game, with the way they pull linemen, like A. Watt says. You know what's funny about that, A. Watt? Thursday evening when I came in here, I don't know if you were in here for the 7 p.m. stream. Coach Sean, Coach Jay, absolutely knock it out of the park. Absolutely knock it out of the park. And I was lucky enough to join in for their evening stream. Brian, I believe you were in here. A1, I can't remember whether I saw you commenting or not, my man. But we started talking. And whenever I first got in here and we started talking about the room we were most excited about, we all said offensive line. And right after we said that, I said, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have a new breakout player for you. Jaden Roberts in this offensive blocking scheme is going to annihilate people. So I 1,000% agree with you, A-Watt. When I was watching Washington's offense, two players that came to mind, Jaden Roberts, Tyler Booker, I was like, oh my word. These two are going to maul. Sandra says, do you think Proctor should start? If he earns it. I 100% think he should start, Sandra. So the whole Proctor situation is interesting, right? Because I know there are some people, and listen, I don't think you're misplaced. If you're like, well, he transferred out. I don't think you're misplaced. The reason why it never really affected me is because if the players wanted Proctor back, right, then I have no issue with it. It's all up to his brotherhood. It's all up to the guys in the room. I can give my opinion, and even I was like, I think, even I was hesitant about Proctor until I saw him hanging out with the Alabama players before he had even came back. He shed some weight. I think he's very talented. I mean, he was a 5-star for a reason. And that's not to say that a 5-star means that you're going to be a great college football player. We have plenty of 5-stars who unfortunately never pan out. Right? Recruiting services can't bat 1,000, much like the NFL draft can't bat 1,000. And the NFL draft has far more access to competitive film, and they still don't get it right all the time. So now imagine being a high school guy who's having to evaluate, a high school evaluator. They're not going to get it right all the time, right? Because in college, at least there's in theory a baseline athleticism. In high school, there is no baseline athleticism. You could have Caden Proctor blocking me. And that, he's going to absolutely eradicate someone like myself who's 5'11", 175 pounds coming off the edge. But in college, you're not going to be blocking some 5'11", 175-pound white dude. You're going to be blocking some absolute monster. You're going to be blocking some 6'4", 6'5", 245-pound athlete, right? Like, it's totally different blocking me off the edge and then blocking, let's say, Drew Sanders off the edge, a Joey Bosa off the edge, a Will Anderson off the edge. Hey, Caitlin, happy to see you in here. Right, totally different. But do I believe he should start? If he comes back and wins the job, absolutely. Here's what I wonder, who would start over him? Because Caden Proctor had his struggles last year, ladies and gentlemen, but he was a freshman. I talk about this all the time when we talk about the secondary. Ooh, had a little something in the throat. I talk about this all the time when we talk about the secondary. I think one of the reasons why many Alabama fans were questioning what's Alabama doing in the transfer portal? How come they're not getting these defensive backs to come in? How come Woods is at MSU? How come Hamilton is at Ole Miss? How come they're not coming to Alabama? I don't know the answer, but I can give you my opinion. And I'm pretty darn entrenched into my opinion on this one, ladies and gentlemen. It's one thing to be a senior and mess up, because you might be a senior, you might be a more experienced guy, mess up, and then they insert a true freshman. Well, if that true freshman messes up, that true freshman has an exponentially longer leash than does the senior. Because you expect a true freshman to learn and fire. You expect them not to have it 1,000% down. When the senior doesn't have it down, you're like, come on, man. You're not new here. You're not new to college football. You're not new to his own concept. You're not new to man. You've done this for 3 years. When the true freshman messes up, it's like, okay, fair. You're going to see the freshman trot over, and yeah, the coach might be getting after him. He might be coaching him up. But you can bet that conversation's much different than when it's the senior, because then the coach is going to be looking at the senior like, do you not get it, or can you just not do it? Because at this point, you darn sure better get it. This is year 4. You better get it. So can you just not do it? With the freshmen, the question won't be, can you just not do it? The question will be, what aren't you understanding? Because naturally. So the reason why I bring that to you, the reason why I bring the secondary analysis to you in this situation is that I think a lot of Proctor's struggles came from, one, they played him too heavy. They played him too heavy. 2, he was a freshman. And what's interesting, Coach Sean and I talked about this, Coach Smook and I talked about this, Coach Jay and I talked about this. Proctor was starting to pick up the more difficult concepts. If you go back and watch, I believe it was either Arkansas or Tennessee. And for some reason, I believe it was Tennessee. Tennessee tried to scheme to attack Proctor. They tried to run stunts to attack Proctor. Those stunts didn't work. It didn't. That's not what worked against him. Speed rushes worked against him. Once again, that gets us back to him being 18 years old, still figuring out his body, and probably playing 20 to 15 pounds heavier than an 18-year-old should be playing. But throughout the course of the year, he started picking up the difficult things. And he picked them up very, very well. Very, very well. And that's when I was always like, okay, we got something. We've now got something. We're cooking with fire now. So do I think Proctor will end up starting? Yes, I 1,000% do. He started last year as a true freshman. The team embraced him coming back. And at the end of the day, that was always my biggest question. What is the team going to think? And if they embrace him coming back, then, hey, I'm here for it. We have Proctor starting 100%. Oh, yeah, Proctor earns. Yeah, everything is earned. Nothing is given. I believe they were made. Oh, I can't tell you how excited I am about the King Mac edition. We'll get into that because he committed. Oh, what was that? Friday. And then Vandemark committed Saturday. So we'll get into both of those. Yeah, I believe so. I agree, AY, and I don't mean to sound, harsh, but like, I don't know who's going to beat Proctor for left tackle. Pritchett will start at right tackle. Yeah, I think that's very feasible. Sandra says, do you think Simpson will be the backup? I do. I absolutely believe so. Tink, happy to see you in here, my man. How have you been? Been far too long since I've seen you in here, my man. Happy you're in here spending time with us on this Monday. Hope you're doing well. Hope life is treating you well. I'm very happy to see you in here, Tink. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning. But Sandra, I 100% believe that Ty Simpson will be the backup. I like Dylan Lonergan. I like his game. Ty Simpson's further ahead in his development. And Mac, I think Mac has unreal upside, but Mac should be a true freshman. If we're being Mac should be early enrolling right now. So he still has a lot of time, man. He skipped a year and a half of high school. Appreciate that, Tink. Appreciate that more than you know. I appreciate that more than you know, Tink. Like I said, I hope life is treating you well. I hope this Monday morning is treating you well, and I hope this week treats you well, my friend. But I believe Ty Simpson is the backup. One, because Ty Simpson's still a really mobile dude. I mean, I think everybody looks at Ty Simpson and they're like, oh, you're an incredible passer. True. He's got a lot of upside there. Ty Simpson's one of those guys where it's like, okay, if you do all the little things right prior, you're going to be fantastic, right? It's like it's very akin to Quinn Ewers, where Quinn's biggest struggles don't come from lack of ability. Quinn can make every throw in the book. His biggest struggles come from consistency. Well, the difference between Quinn and Ty is that Ty is still very much well in development, right? Ty hasn't had the opportunity to go learn and fire. But I think his consistency, especially, listen, we talk all the time about how this new staff is going to positively affect Jalen Milroe. Well, that argument applies to all of these quarterbacks. This new staff is going to positively affect Ty Simpson. They're going to positively affect Dylan Lonergan. They're going to positively affect Austin Mack. But Ty Simpson, if he just irons down some consistency things, that guy's going to be unbelievably tough to stop. And the things that he needs to iron down are very small. I mean, it's not like you're sitting here looking at Ty Simpson being like, oh boy, we got to teach him how to do this. No. No, it's just a few things, right? It's just a few things. I think a lot of the times whenever you're at these smaller schools and you're a 5-star at these smaller schools, you're used to making plays happen. Let's understand the difference here, right? Because I'm about to say something that I think Coach Sean would enjoy. Whenever you're at these smaller schools and you're a 5-star, right, like a Ty Simpson, especially a Ty Simpson, because he's a dual threat guy. Like Ty has got the ability to take off on you and make it happen. But let's unpack what I'm about to say here. At these smaller schools, when you're a 5-star, I think you get used to making plays happen. I'm not trying to take a shot at where the school he came from. He didn't have IMG talent out there. He didn't have modern day talent out there. He didn't have 3 offensive linemen and 4 guys on the offense outside of the offensive line that were destined for Division I football. He didn't have that. Ty Simpson was used to making plays happen. Well, in college, you can make plays happen, but you need to let them happen. Usually when you try and make plays happen in college, that's when you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble. In college, it's about letting it develop. And then if it doesn't, okay, now we make something happen. Now we make something happen. That's what I mean when I say consistency. And do I believe he'll be able to do it? Honestly, I think he's already done it. I think this new coaching staff, this offseason, and it's something, guys, this isn't a take I had. I've just applied it to the high school level. Nick Saban said this last offseason when he was talking about Ty's going to be a really great quarterback. He just needs to let things develop. He just needs to trust and he's going to let things develop. He's got all the arm talent you could ever want. He is a true dual threat guy. No, you're right, David. He didn't. But I don't know if you ever watched his highlights. Did you see his offensive line? It reminded me of that Family Guy episode where Stewie's quarterback and he says hut, and he looks up and he says, and nobody's blocking. That guy had to run around everywhere to even make plays happen. He had to run around everywhere to make plays happen. So you're right. You're right. But I think Ty Simpson is okay. Check it out, David, and you're going to see what I mean. You're going to see what I mean. I think that Ty got so used to making things happen. I promise you, if it didn't come from him, it wasn't happening. It was not happening. I can't tell you the last time I watched a, no, David, listen. David, I know you're not taking shots. You're here to talk football. There's no shot taking. I didn't interpret it like that at all. I didn't interpret it like that in the slightest, my man. I know you're here to talk ball, right? You're here to talk ball. Go check out his high school tape, David. And I know it has no bearing on what he does now, but you'll easily see what I mean. Whenever you'll get it, where I'm like, hey, he got so used to making things happen that now he had to almost untrain himself of that and be like, okay, no, I don't have to make things happen. Jeremy, happy you're in here. Because I don't have to make things happen. I can let things happen. And then if they don't, I can use what I know I can do. I think Ty's going to be a problem when he gets his opportunity, right? I really do. Yeah, check it out, David. Let me know what you think when you check it out. Actually, you can check it out right now and I'll still be here. Appreciate that, Caitlin. Do I think, are you asking about Jay Milroe, Sandra? Let me know, Sandra. I think you're probably asking about Jay Milroe. Do I think Jay Milroe will be ready? Yes, I do. I do. Because there's a few things. I think he has the ability, Sandra, and he's got the want to. That's a guy that wants to improve so bad. He wants to improve so bad. And I think with this new coaching staff, with them actually scheming things for him, making the game easier. And I talk about Quinn all the time when I talk about making the game easier. And I always will preface it with saying, hey, this isn't a shot at Quinn. I think Quinn Ewers is a fantastic quarterback. The reason why y'all hear me reference Quinn all the time is because Quinn was one of the only prospects ever to be a perfect rated prospect. He was a perfect 1 rating. And still, even with all the ability he has, even with being that highly rated, he has an offensive mind in Steve Sarkisian that's making the game easy for him, that's scheming things up for him. This new staff will do that for Jalen Milroe. They're going to scheme things up for Milroe. They're going to make the game easy for Milroe. It's not going to be Milroe having to go figure it out. Thank the Lord above that it's not going to be the Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young offense where Bill O'Brien just tells Bryce Young whatever you meant. The wide receiver. Okay, that's 1,000% my bad. KPX, thank you for that. That's 1,000% my bad. I was on the mind of quarterbacks. Do I think Jalen Hale will be ready? I sure hope. I sure hope. I don't know the extent of the injury. I don't know 100% what the injury is, so I really can't speak to that, Sandra. And I don't want to speculate, right? Like, one thing, I understand that this is a true platform, right? Like, this, Kyle's channel is an absolute platform. And so I don't want to speculate and say something on a platform that I don't know to be true. I don't know what the extent of the injury is. I really hope, but I don't know. I don't know. Now, I do agree with Watt here. I don't want him to rush back. I want him to come back, which, to be fair, Watt, Bama has one of the best medical staffs in the nation, not only for college, but for NFL as well. They have an unbelievable medical staff at Alabama, as I have another targeted attack by Auburn. I don't think that they are going to rush him back. One, we have a lot of wide receivers that are very talented. And 2, we've got a fantastic medical staff. So I don't believe he will be rushed back. But Sandra, that injury, man, that hurt. Because, and once again, Alabama's got a lot of talented wide receivers, but I was of the mindset, and I even said it, whenever Coach Kalen DeBoer was first hired, we sat down and we talked about who could be some breakout players. I said Jalen Hale. I thought, and I still think, when he gets back healthy, that guy would have an ability to take over in this offense. He's a rangy wide receiver. He's got some height to him. He's athletic. I mean, for him to contribute the way he did last year, and I was always surprised that we didn't utilize him more once he proved, like, hey, I am Himothy. I thought he was in for a big year. I thought he would have been in for a big year this year. So that injury is just, I certainly pray that every single day he gets healthier. I think he's a phenomenal talent. Imagine Bryce with Steve Sarkisian. Go back and watch that Alabama versus Ohio State game. Now imagine, Mac did a phenomenal job. But now imagine Bryce Young and that. David says he's watching the Ty Simpson highlights. Oh, Lord, that first highlight was him shaking 5 tacklers. You see what I mean, David? I think Ty is a prime example of a 5-star guy who, if it didn't happen through him, it wasn't happening. And so he then has to teach himself, oh, I don't have to make things happen. I can sit and let things develop. And then if they don't develop, boom, I can take advantage of a situation because I have that athleticism. But yeah, his highlight tape is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous what he's able to do. It's ridiculous. Like, Isn't that analogy I gave you, David, bad? Where the Stewie Griffin, he says hike, he gets the ball, he looks up and he says, and nobody's blocking. Like, isn't that sadly accurate? And still, he was a 5-star. He was still putting up video game numbers with that. Ty's going to be great. Ty's going to be great. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about this quarterback room for years to come, ladies and gentlemen. And especially if they can get a Keelan Russell from Duncanville or a Juju Lewis. Don't get me wrong. I'd love for them to get Juju Lewis. But if it comes down to who pulls the trigger first and Keelan Russell pulls the trigger, oh, I'm going to be happy. Yeah. And to me, it's just that simple. When I talk about consistency with Ty, I don't even think it's mechanics. Like with Quinn, it's setting his feet. Oh, Adam, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. For him to stay and compete with the quarterbacks here and be like, no. I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to get better, 1% better every day until it's my time. Can't ask for anything more than that, man. You can't ask for anything more than that. But with Quinn, it's Quinn has such a talented arm that for him, it's setting his feet. Right? You do that, you're good. With Ty, I think it's just about time. That's all I think it is it's just he needs to have time. And when he gets his opportunity, he's going to put up video game numbers. We're talking about Jalen Hale live to help others. He was asking the extent of that injury. I don't know exactly what the injury is. I just know it was a leg injury. I don't know the details of it. Super unfortunate. Sandra says, I think J.M. Miller will start and be number one. Hey, I don't think that you're off there. I think some people may say Justice Haynes, but listen, I think both J.M. and Justice Haynes are in for a huge year in this offense, especially the pin and pull ability of this offensive line. It's going to be nasty trying to stop this running game. And one of the things, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. One of the things that I love so much is Patriot Life gifting 5 Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson memberships. Give it to me, guys. That was a smooth transition. On the fly as well. Come on now. That was smooth. That was dastardly. But Patriot Life, thank you very much for the donations. Thank you very much for the support. Means the world as always. And we love having you around, man. I get excited anytime I get to come in here in a morning stream or even an evening stream and I see you in here. Means we're on to a great day. Thank you so much for the gifted membership. If you guys are the beneficiary of those gifted memberships, be sure to thank Patriot Life. He is a fantastic supporter of the platform, a fantastic supporter of each and every one of us. And we really thank you, Patriot Life. You are the man. Any news on Khalil Jacobs? I don't have any, Jay. I don't have any. Now, I was operating under the assumption that the staff only had 3 spots left and they were filled by Jones, Mack, and Vandemark. But I could be wrong there. So we only watched, so far I've only broken down from the all 22, really looking at the run game, the Oregon film. We did that with the guard-to-guard duo seems ideal with the running back room. I think that this is the thing, JT. It was impressive what they did at Washington, but I don't think that necessarily is 1,000% what they're going to do here, because I think we are going to see some duo. I think we're going to see more duo at Alabama than he ran at Washington, because at Washington, whenever he got, what's the running back's name? Oh my gosh, I talk about him all the time. Whenever he got that running back, he transferred from Mississippi State. Whenever he got him, he got the lion's share of the carries, right? Like he was the guy. But at Bama, I think we're going to see far more duo concepts because you have such a loaded running back room. So I think that he's certainly laid the foundation for what he wants to accomplish in terms of the running game, but I don't necessarily know that will be the Bible for how he runs it at Alabama. we have to remember Kalen DeBoer talked about being a guy who likes fluidity. He's going to tailor his offense to his personnel. And I think there's a reason why, like last year, whenever I watched Washington, I don't remember that I saw too many duo, like split back sets. I don't remember that. I don't think that there was many. But what I do know is during A-Day, you already saw a 2 running back split back set. I think he's going to employ that with the pin and pull of the offensive line, and it's going to get nasty. Jay says we have 3 running backs that could start anywhere in the country. I agree. There are some fantastic running backs out there, but I think Alabama, I would raise you, Jay, and a Watt. 1, Kevin Riley isn't on campus yet. Do not sleep on Kevin Riley. Now, I'm not telling you that as to say, hey, this guy is going to be a starter. The running back room is too loaded. And these other guys have a leg up in terms of understanding the offense and the game of football. What I do bring that to you for is to let you know Kevin Riley is ridiculously talented. Ridiculously talented. And do not sleep on Daniel Hill. Do not sleep on Daniel Hill. That's exactly, especially with having both, and JT, that's exactly why I believe that what we saw at Washington is a foundation, but it is not the Bible for DeBoer. I believe that the more and more I go on, JT, the more and more I watch Washington film from 2022, and then I watch Washington film from 2023, I already see a difference in how he's utilizing the running game from 2022 to 2023. Now, in 2022, he didn't have the running back that he had in 2023. He spread the carries around. But what I do know is that he certainly changed how he utilized the running game based on the personnel he had. So whenever DeBoer got to Alabama and he started talking about, oh, well, I tailor my offense based on my personnel, I believe him. I believe him. I 1,000% believe him. And ladies and gentlemen, lest we forget something Kalen DeBoer said in an interview that I have been talking about a lot, that I have been very excited about. Oh, I know. Jalen Milroe is also one of the most dangerous athletes in the nation. And one of the things Kalen DeBoer talked about whenever he first got here was that, hey, I love how dedicated you are. And I don't remember the exact quote, right? So forgive me. But the quote was something to the effect of, I love how dedicated Jalen Milroe is to improving as a quarterback. But I told him, don't disregard all the tools that you have. You got a great arm. You got a great deep shot. I love that you want to hit that. You got a great ability to want to improve. I love that you're so hungry, but do not disregard that you are the 1% of the 1% in terms of athleticism. Use your legs. Don't be afraid to use your legs. Don't shy away from something that just takes you to a totally different level. So now when you look at it, Dylan Johnson, thank you very much, Brian. Was that exactly what he said, JT? Thank you very much. Don't forget what makes you special. I love that, man. Because I just, when he said that to Jalen Milroe, it really just made me happy. It made me excited for how everything that DeBoer has done so far has proved to me that he is a very authentic person. Do I like the new helmet comm? I do, Sandra. I do. I think that's going to be awesome. A lot of what makes the Washington's offense work was the quickness of the offensive line. I'm hoping ours comes out in a lot better shape. That's exactly why, Hacker Music, I think we're going to be fine. Let me explain. Let me break this down, right? Because I think Proctor, once he loses 15, 20 pounds, he's going to be a much more mobile guy. We know Brailsford. So we know Parker Brailsford, PG, he can pin, he can pull. That guy's got a lot of athleticism. Okay, we know that about him. We'll go to the right and then back to the left. Jaden Roberts. whenever Jaden Roberts wasn't starting yet, Coach Smook and I were doing some content, and we were talking about how some of the guys on the second team offensive line looked like they had far more explosiveness than the first team. Well, the guy we were both talking about was Jaden Roberts. Okay. So he's going to maul people in this new scheme. Right tackle is where it gets interesting. Are you going Pritchett? Or could we see a Wilkin Formby? I don't know. Yeah. They needed to. They needed to. If we look at left guard, you got Booker. Booker has all the ability in the world. Booker, on my Twitter, I said this on Friday, I believe, and you'll have to scroll to find it now, but I retweeted about a minute and 30 or 2-minute segment of a scout who was breaking down film this past year. And he after the draft, he came out and tweeted, he's like, listen, I was breaking down film for all these different places. And he said, I couldn't help but continue to notice Tyler Booker. Like, that guy is spectacular. And some of the clips of what Tyler Booker is able to do, it's incredible. He had a play against A&M where he handled the guy he was at, right? Threw him out the club. And then Proctor had his hands full, right? Like, the edge rusher was giving Proctor all he could handle. And this guy, Tyler Booker, throws down his guy and then has enough time to back shuffle all the way back that when the guy gets around the left tackle, who does he see but Tyler Booker? And Tyler Booker throws him out the club. It's one of the most impressive plays I've seen a guard make in a long time, because it wasn't something to where he got to hit his guy and engage his guy into the center, where then the center could take the block. And then after he did that, all he had to do was flip the hips and engage in the guy with the left tackle. It wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. He had to engage his guy and then completely start a backpedal all the way back to supersede Caden Proctor and then engage in the block. That clip was phenomenal. In fact, I'm actually going to try and find it. That way we can watch it. If you will allow me, I will be present, but I am going to attempt to find this clip. I'm going to try and find this clip on my Twitter. Half of my Twitter is just either fight highlights, college football news, or college football like film. I'm going to try and find this clip. That way we can break it down and we can talk about it. Because when I see that, and then I think of Booker and I think of Roberts in this new offense, I'm just like, oh my word. These two guys are going to feast in this new offense. I did not think it was this far back. Where are we going here? I see. Oh my gosh, I retweet so much film stuff. Here we go. Here we go. When we're right, I believe he's there now. Bama boy. I did not see that, JT. I'm going to have to check that out. Okay. So, we good? We are good. This is the clip I'm talking about. Okay, Tyler Booker obviously highlighted here. Watch this clip. Pass you off, handle you, and then I'm assisting in my left tackle. That is insane. Is there any way I can slow this down? Playback speed. Here we go. Let's go 0.5. Let's watch this again. Chip, handle my guy, and now I'm helping my tackle. That's insane. Like, for him to be able to so confidently do 3 things in one go is nuts to me, man. Absolutely nuts. Tyler Booker is going to feast in this new offense. I have zero doubt about that. I have zero doubt about that. I want to see it one more time. I apologize, but this right here is just so good. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Chip, got you. You're out. And now I'm assisting in the tackle. Come on, man. Come on. That's a first interior offensive lineman in the draft rep. You're darn skippy. And he made it look routine. You're 100%. I saw that and I was like, what in the world is happening? That's uncommon. And he made it look easy. So there could be people out there being like, oh, wasn't that what he was asked to do? He was asked to do the first thing, guide the first guy into the center. He was then asked to do the second thing, handle your guy. He just so happened to throw his guy out the club and has enough wherewithal to be like, okay, I can then continue my momentum to pick up the rusher coming around the left tackle. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't even know what to say about that. That is an insane rep. But I didn't see this. I think support staff being able to coach will help speed development of Milroe and help. 100%. 100%. And especially when we look at the support staff we have. JT, my man, you hit the nail on the head. Not only is that rep displaying uncommon athleticism, and I mean uncommon athleticism for draft eligible guys, right? We're not even talking uncommon athleticism in terms of college football guys. I mean guys that are going to be going in the first 2 rounds in the NFL draft. That's uncommon athleticism from them. But the football IQ on display right there, through the roof. Through the darn roof. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back and watched that. That is one of the most impressive clips I have seen. And I don't know how long. I don't know how long. Just unbelievable. I'm seeing if I have any other, because I have so many things saved in terms of just like film concepts. I don't think I do. But it's stuff like that, man, that you can't even teach that, JT. You know what I mean? Like you can't even teach that, because if I sat down a guard right now and said, okay, you're going to guide your first assignment to the center. Once you've passed him off to the center, you're then going to handle your guy. And oh, by the way, I need you doing so in a manner that allows you to loop around and pick up the rusher that's going around the left tackle. The guard would look at you like you were speaking a different language. Like they would look at you and be like, what are you talking about, man? That's not feasible. With Tyler Booker, it's feasible. Like, it's just unbelievable, man, how good he is. And Jermaine, I 100% agree with you, my man. 100% agree. Our interior offensive line is the best in the nation. So if you can't get to Milrow, you're cooked against Bama. And I think that these wide receivers are as good. I think that we're going to trot out as good, if not a better wide receiving group than we had last year. God, if Hale was still healthy. Oh, that hurts me so much. But I can promise you this. They will be schemed much better. They will be schemed for much better. Top pick guys, yeah, that's nasty, 100%. And made it look routine. You know, and I am too, David. It's the area where I'm hesitant on, but after really, it's funny, as I was just watching, like going back on my TV, because I have, first off, shout out YouTube TV, not a sponsor, but YouTube TV allowed me to film every single college football game. If it was Power 5, I have it filmed. If it was Group of 5, I have it filmed. If it was on regular programming, I have it filmed. And I have all of the college football season from last year. So I go back and I watch a lot of that. But when I went back and started really grinding the all 22 of Washington, I'm telling you, that's what's made me be like, oh my word, this blocking scheme is going to be so nasty. Oh, I know what. I know. Yep, eye candy. That's the word for it, but it's really something else about to happen to you. And my goodness, you can't sleep. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. I liken this offense to fighting all the time, right? And I liken it to Sean O'Malley, where Sean O'Malley is going to hit you with all the feints. He's going to do the little shoulder roll like that, and you got to account for it because he could throw a front kick to the face. He could throw a front kick to the body. He could throw a front kick right to your knee. He'll obviously throw out the jab. He'll let you know, like, oh, I have all these tools. He'll do the head spin, and it's all well and good in the first round. Well, not all well and good. I mean, he's teeing off on your face the entire time. But in the second round, now you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I don't know when he's going to throw anything. That's what I like in this offense too, is they're going to give you so much to think about that as the game goes on, I call it foundational play calling. As the game goes on, Kalen DeBoer, he might call a play, and Sark did this very well. Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer, they might call a play, and if they get 1 yard gain, if they get a 1.5 yard game, that's cool. That play wasn't about getting a first down. It wasn't about getting 5 yards. It wasn't about getting a touchdown. What that play was for was to start laying the bricks in the foundation so that as the game goes on, we start laying this foundation. We get into the second quarter, we get into the third quarter, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I have so much to think about because of this foundational play calling. They give you so much to think about. And one thing I love, David and Hacker, I don't know what went wrong with Wolford. I don't know, man. If you like, I don't know. I was really excited for Wolford. And it just did not work out. That's one I really had to eat crow on. I really had to eat crow on Wolford. I was real wrong there. I was very excited for Wolford. I'm not going to shy away from that. Why am I not going to shy away from that? Because the videos are still up on my channel. So if I was lying to you, someone could just go find the videos and be like, didn't you say this? And I'd be like, yeah, I did. I'm always going to be honest. I was real high on Eric Wolford. I thought Alabama was getting a guy that was going to fix the woes that had been created. And for year one, you saw a vast improvement in Wolford's year one. And then you just absolutely saw a drop-off in year two. Now, once again, I think that drop-off is multifaceted. I think that drop-off, you can blame the offensive line for part of it. You can, Milrow being a first-time starter. I've said this before. What first-time starter takes sacks that they shouldn't take? If you show me a first-time starter that isn't taking sacks that they shouldn't take, I'm going to show you a top 3 draft pick. Every first-time starter quarterback takes sacks that they shouldn't take, especially whenever he has the ability to be so accurate on the deep shot. Like Milroe's accuracy on deep passes is unbelievable. So, of course, he's going to want to hold on to the ball for a little bit longer because he knows, like, okay, if my guys even give me an inch, I'm going to be able to hit them accurately. So, of course, he's going to wait a little bit too long. But then, so, okay, we can blame the offensive line for a part of it. We can say Jalen Milroe may have held the ball a little bit too long. That's inexperience. That's the ability to hit a deep shot and wanting to rely on that. I get it. Reese didn't exactly call a bunch of things to lessen any sort of pressure. And Jermaine, this is ultimately why I can't, when everybody tells me, oh, well, I think you're like not giving Milroe as much blame, I always go back and I'm like, yeah, but Bryce got ate up. And Bryce is Houdini. I got a question for y'all. Have y'all ever seen Bryce Young and Harry Houdini in the same room? I haven't. Coincidence? You be the judge. You be the judge. That guy's a magician. You thought Grandalf was a wizard? No, Bryce is a wizard. Bryce does things at the quarterback position that, quite frankly, I just didn't know were possible. Adam, what's up, my man? Happy you're in here. JT says, yep, I like DeBoer because he has a similar approach as Sark. A lot of early offensive series will be the basis of setups. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't know the technical term for it. I don't know the technical term for a lot of things because I'm still learning in football. I'll never shy away from that. I am a student of the game. I am not like Coach Sean, right? There's a reason why I have my notebook next to me every time I'm with Coach Sean and I'm sitting there scribbling notes. Y'all see me looking down. First off, when you guys see me streaming and I'm looking down, the reason I'm looking down is because my laptop is here, chat is here, and if I'm looking up at the camera, you get what I mean? So like I have to look down to keep up with chat. But when I'm with Coach Sean, you constantly see me like this. I'm not looking at a phone. I'm writing notes. The last time I was with Coach Sean, that's just from the stream with Coach Sean. Taking notes. Learning. Right? Like that. I'm not Coach Sean. Coach Sean, he's got this stuff mastered. I'm still learning. But I do call it foundational play calling because that makes sense to me. Bryce won the Heisman with 40-plus sacks. I've thought that, Jake Crane. I don't know how many of you know about Jake Crane. He does a show, Crane and Company. He's been a long-time college football guy. And he and I were talking on Twitter. Right? Crane and I were talking on Twitter. And I asked Jake, I was like, Jake, if I would have told you that a college football team would have been number 129 in sacks allowed, would they have making the college football playoffs? If I said that to you, you would have called me crazy, and deservedly so. He replied to me and he's like, you're 1,000% right. He was of the mindset that last year was one of, if not Coach Saban's most impressive coaching jobs, because you had an offensive line that was just not up to the Alabama standard. In pass pro, at least. Run blocking was fantastic. Their run blocking was great. Bryce was probably the best college quarterback I've ever seen. Adam, I've said this multiple times, my man. If Bryce was 6'2", 220 pounds coming out of college, they would have called him generational as a targeted attack by Auburn has hit me. Bryce was running for his life. Yeah, that's why I always called him a magician, is because Bryce would have to run around and do everything. Bryce was, yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's why whenever y'all are asking like, oh, Ty, you can have one Alabama quarterback, who do you get? I'm not saying he's as accomplished as A.J. McCarron, right? A.J. McCarron did his thing. I'm taking Bryce. Why? Because if I take Bryce, I'm like, I can run any offense with Bryce. Anything. Like my entire, it's all open. If I'm building the Bama Dream Team, for quarterback, I'm taking Bryce or I'm taking Tua. No disrespect to anybody else because there have been no shortage of great quarterbacks. But in my humble opinion, to quote Coach Sean, Bryce and Tua were different. And Bryce, one thing about Bryce that's exceptional, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't really talk about enough, but we should. Bryce is 5'10", but he doesn't have passes batted down at the line of scrimmage at the same rate as other quarterbacks that are 6 foot or under. Why is that? It's because Bryce understands throwing lanes. Bryce understands throwing lanes better than almost any quarterback. Bryce's understanding of throwing lanes, in my opinion, is akin to Drew Brees' understanding of throwing lanes. Where he's like, I'm not going to have a bunch of passes batted down because I understand where I need to be to get the pass off. Yup, JT, you beat me to it. It was the greatest I've seen since Drew Brees in terms of an undersized quarterback not having passes batted down. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. Over at my channel, by the way, I'm going to reach out and confirm with someone right now, but we are doing a stream over at Around the Table Sports, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening. Would love to see you there. We are doing a stream 5 p.m. Central Time this evening at Around the Table Sports. Myself, Coach Jay, Coach Sean. And if I get this confirmation, I will announce. We have a very special guest that we look to be bringing on. A guy that's as knowledgeable about the intricacies of recruiting, about the transfer portal as anybody out in the space. So hopefully while I'm still on here within the next 9 minutes, I get this confirmation. Because I'm very excited. We've been trying to set this up for quite a while, and it's just our schedules have not been able to really align. But hopefully this evening is the evening. Thank you for that, Adam. When you're that small, you've got to be able to understand the angles and layer your throws. He was a master of that. Unbelievable. No, Adam. I don't remember. I remember them calling him that, but I don't remember what team said it, Jermaine. What team said that? Lane Kiffin used to say Bryce used to put on his cape. Yeah, he's 100% right. And win games. No, on Around the Table Sports, what? So I'm on Bama Standard as well, but at Around the Table Sports. It was the Georgia Bulldogs that said that. Okay. They called him the gingerbread man. Yeah, I mean, Bryce is insane, man. Insane. Yeah, Around the Table Sports is my personal channel. What? And I'm hoping if I get confirmation in the next 8 minutes, I'll announce the guest. But just know we did get confirmation on Friday. So hopefully nothing's changed, right? Life happens, so we'll see. But Coach Sean will be on tonight at 5 o'clock. Coach Jay will be on tonight at 5 o'clock. We'll probably have Jay of Unfair Sports on this evening. And if I get this confirmation, we are going to be really in for a treat in terms of a major, major, major guest. I'm also going to try and get Pate on one weekend or one Monday. If it aligns with his schedule, I'm going to reach out to Josh Pate. I'll shoot him a text this week. See if we can't coordinate getting Josh Pate on. But I'm hoping we can get this text right now and I can announce. Just know, be there. Because even if we don't have the special guest this evening, it's going to be a great show. No comment. Read into that what you will, Adam. That might That might just be who I'm waiting to text me back. That might just be who I'm waiting to text me back. Pate State. I reached out to Bone a while ago, but he's a busy dude. But I know Josh Pate would be willing to come on the show. I know he'd be willing to come on the show. We might have to reschedule it to a different day to accommodate his schedule, but I know Pate would be willing to come on. I was actually texting Pate at Easter. That's going to be awesome. Hopefully, man. But yes, just to kind of, since Adam guessed it off the rip. Yeah, I'd love to have Bone on. Bone's awesome, man. Josh always has a fantastic show, man. That dude is like just the best. Absolutely the best. But since Adam guessed it, I'm waiting on the confirmation text. I got a confirmation on Friday in the morning that Hayes would like to come on the show Monday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And hopefully we get the confirmation today again that we're good to go. And then it'll be Coach Sean, Coach Jay, myself, Hayes Fawcett, and probably Jay with Unfair Sports all on this evening. And that should be a great time. Should be a great time. Hayes and I have been trying to coordinate on a show for a while now, for quite some time. Good dude. Real good dude. That guy has so much knowledge, it's unbelievable, A-Watt. ESPN wrote an article about him like in 2015 when he was in high school, talking about like how, hey, this dude, like he knows everything happening in recruiting. He knows everything happening in recruiting. They did good to sign him long-term, man, because Hayes is that guy. Hayes is him. There's no doubt about that. Plus, he started an entire trend. Right? Like, how many graphics do you see now? And at first you're like, is that Hayes? And it's like, it's someone else. But like, they're directly going after what Hayes does because it works. I mean, when you can create waves, that's awesome. When you can create waves, that's awesome. Ephraim in the house. Roll Tide to everyone, everywhere. Happy you're here with us this morning, Ephraim. Happy you're here with us. Good to see you as always. Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. I'll tell you what's made his life a little bit more difficult. Right? I'll tell you what's making his life a little bit more difficult is the fact that now you can't take pictures on visits. So he can't use the pictures of the kids in the jerseys, or at least it's a little bit more difficult and nuanced now. I tried to never miss a Josh Pate live show. I don't blame you on that at all, Matty P. I do not blame you at all on that. I was super surprised. It was like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks at this point. I think it was 2 weeks ago on his Tuesday, the late kick extra. I was sitting there listening, plotting some content out, and he gave me a shout out. That meant the world, man, because I look up to Josh. I really do look up to Josh in terms of a content creator, in terms of a person. He's a really, and I've said this before, Matty P, that Josh Pate, for as great as a content creator as he is, he's an even better guy. And he's an exceptional content creator. He is an exceptional person. Like, truly an exceptional person. He's unbelievably authentic, A-Watt. I've gotten to talk on the phone with him for multiple times. First time we ever talked, he was giving me advice on my show. He gave me like 3 hours on the phone. It was probably closer to 2.5, but you get the point, right? Like, he wasn't worried about how long we were on the phone. He just wanted to help me out. Ephraim. Gotcha. He just wanted to help me out. So then a few Tuesdays ago, I'm at the end of his show. It was his gas station series. And he was like, that someone asked him, like, what shows do you watch? If I only watch you and On3, the person said. And Josh was listing a bunch of shows. He's like, oh, the 24/7 guys are great. You already know about the On3 guys. And then he gave me and Around the Table Sports a shout out. Around the Table Sports being my personal channel. That meant the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the confirmation. Hayes Fawcett will be on the live show this evening at Around the Table Sports, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You do not want to miss that. We are going to have a blast over there talking football. We're going to be talking about the transfer portal. We're going to be talking about this last wave of recruiting. And I'm excited to hear from Hayes about how much things are changing so rapidly in college football. Of course, we'll talk some Bama, but you already know this is going to be a college football podcast. We're going to be talking college football as a whole, but with guests like these, you don't want to miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been here for over an hour and 30 minutes on my segment, so we're going to hop off of here. Once again, Around the Table Sports, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Coach Jay will be on. Coach Sean will be on. We just got the confirmation that Hayes Fawcett will be on. It's going to be an absolute blast. Can't wait to see you over there. JS Webb, thank you for that, my man. Thank you for that. That means more than you know. Brian says, Peyton tie together, Major Fire. Hey, I'm going to try and get Pate on. I'm going to try and get Pate on. I'm going to reach out to him this week, and we're going to coordinate something to where we can do a little bit of a duo stream. I have made content with Pate before. I have done a live stream with Pate before, and it was a blast. So hopefully we can do that one more time. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Undefeated, thank you so much for being here on this Monday morning. I am going to hop out of here. I have a dog that demands a little mid-morning walk. She runs the house. I don't run the house. She runs the house. And until next time, as always, roll tide and allow me to introduce you to the most esteemed member of our guests, or the member of our panel, the Spinning Wheel of Doom. And it spins. See you all this evening, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time at Around the Table Sports. Do not forget that after 5 p.m., come right back here for the 7 p.m. show where Coach Jay, Coach Sean are going to be getting all of your college football needs taken care of over here. Going to be talking Alabama, going to be talking some of the wins. So what a loaded evening of content, ladies and gentlemen. Around the Table Sports at 5 p.m. Right back here at Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson at 7 p.m. Hey, there's no shortage of great college football content out there for you this evening. And until then, may I introduce you to the Spinning Wheel of Doom.